Hi there, I'm Luma and welcome to my channel. Welcome back to subscribers and welcome to new viewers if you just found me here on YouTube. I'm an energy intuitive and I make these videos to provide some context and bring into your awareness some of the energetic movements, patterns, and structures that are kind of behind the scenes, maybe at the edges of our perception. So I bring words and awareness to these energetic structures and movements to help you understand where we might be at in our evolutionary movements here on the planet and as human species, and what might be happening in your own personal sphere of life. So this video, I want to share a lot about crystalline consciousness and the human heart, our beautiful human hearts, okay? So when I use the words crystalline consciousness, what I'm referring to is a deep, deep memory. It's the living memory matrix, or the original instructions, blueprints, codes, patterns, morphogenetic fields that come directly from source intelligence and source level consciousness. Okay, so this is like the original, pure, indelible, impeccable, inviolable level of codes and patterns and information. Okay, so the crystalline consciousness exists at very, very high states of consciousness, high levels of frequency. It exists also here on Earth, in Earth's crystalline core, in the first dimension of life. This is the minerals, the crystals, the stones, the elements, okay? And we also are connected directly into that level of embodied, first dimensional, crystalline consciousness through our own bodies in many ways, okay? Well, specifically, I'll talk in greater detail about this in future videos, but within our tailbone, yeah, right in the tip of our tailbone is like a little crystal that contains a spark of this crystalline consciousness. And this is starting to really wake up and open up in us, in through the planet, and it's really pushing through, you know, the old patterns, the old structures, the old information and data and digitalized world. Yeah, this crystalline consciousness is pushing through. Why? It's amplifying. It's stronger and stronger and stronger. So it is literally shaking things up, loosening things up. Okay, why? Because we're in a time of a huge cycle of transition, of transformation, and crystalline consciousness kind of breaks through, because these are the original deeper codes of creation plus the new codes for the next cycle that are coming through. Yeah, so this starts to come through into our awareness, hopefully, so that we can engage with this process. Okay, so let's just take a pause here. I'm going to ask you just to tune in right at the very tip of your tailbone and bring an awareness there that there's crystalline consciousness, pure original source intelligence, instructions and codes that are vibrating with sound frequencies, oscillating with light frequencies, yeah, and that's vibrating and oscillating in resonance, in pulses and rhythms with the Earth's crystalline core, okay? So this is why it's so important to be out in nature right now, because it's like it's coming up through the earth, it's coming up through the plants, the minerals, the stones, the crystals, the trees, the forests, the animals. It's coming up through us too, all right? So stay grounded in crystalline consciousness, because there's a lot of big changes going on at the moment, and there is information on how to adapt, right? To change, to adapt to the changes. Yeah, there's new information coming through. Yeah, which means it's shaking out a lot of the old information, the all old terms of reference that we have been referring to. Okay, so this crystalline consciousness, right? It's like a seed in in us. It's a seed in earth that's been like a sleeping potential. Yeah. Sleeping potential, dormant, latent. It's like we've all been like Snow White and Sleeping Beauty under some kind of spell asleep, right? And a lot of things are waking us up. Sometimes the wake up calls are shocking, right? Jolting. Poof, wake up. Poof, wake up, right? Okay, come out of your deep, deep slumbers, okay? So that's happening to us at the human level. You know, I talked about in my most recent video about dragon energies. So dragon energies, one way to understand that is that they are a living embodiment of the first dimensional crystalline consciousness, okay? That they work directly with the minerals, the crystals, the elementals, and the codes, patterns, and blueprints of creation, right? Usually those are all kind of hidden behind the scenes. They haven't been in our sphere of awareness, right? Now it's pushing through. That's why that, again, to use our understanding of dragons, I use that a little bit differently than maybe other people do, or movies do, or things quite different indeed. So again, like an embodiment of crystalline consciousness. It's moving, it's waking up. Yeah, we're moving, we're waking up, okay? A lot of movement going on, okay? So again, I'll share in more detail about crystalline consciousness up here in videos, also over on my Patreon in the coming months ahead, and some writing that I'm doing right now as well. It's really cool information, so excited to share more. But what I would like to focus on here for the rest of the video is our human hearts, okay? So we could understand that it is, for crystalline consciousness, kind of the conduit for that into our hearts is universal, unconditional love, eternal love, okay? So think of that as like the conduit that this crystalline consciousness, which carries these blueprints, instructions, and codes of creation, you know, how do things come into manifestation from pure source consciousness into the created worlds of form that we inhabit here as human beings, okay? So it rides in on unconditional, universal, eternal love, okay? Guess what? That's what our human hearts are tuned to. They've been kind of crusty and protected. And so there's a lot of breaking through the crust and the protection, the armor around our heart, okay? So our human heart, you know, it's these moves in these like kind of counter-rotating spirals. And we know there's a lot of research done about how it generates an electromagnetic field, okay? And when we are together with one or more other humans and we're all focused in that field of unconditional love, that generates an extraordinarily powerful field, okay? That's the power of our human hearts. It's immense. It's enormous, okay? And it's in the process of opening and being liberated, okay? So when that opens up and it kind of generates this gorgeous, powerful field of electromagnetic energy, you know, that may just happen when you're by yourself in your meditation, when you're with your dog, or your cat, your kids, your loved ones, doing something you absolutely just am absorbed or love doing. You know, maybe you're just sitting quietly, appreciating the gorgeousness of nature, right? And those feelings start to open up, generates this electromagnetic field in your heart, and then that activates your heart chakra, okay? So you can think of the chakra system as residing in your soul body, okay? It's subtle energy levels. So we're going into the level of the soul. We're moving from our human incarnate identity into the soul level of identity when we're moving into the heart chakra, okay? And we know in a lot of the ancient teachings, the chakras are seen as beautiful flowers. And I would say we are in the process of a flowering, okay, at the soul level, at those levels of those energy centers, which we call chakras, which are rotating and spinning and resonating in coherence and harmonization with your heart. So then you got your human level of identity and your soul level of identity, and they're starting to pulse together, to breathe together, to generate, again, a field of energy and electromagnetic coherency. Yeah. And that can start to begin to hold more of these original crystalline instructions, codes, and patterns, okay? When we're out of sorts, when we're disconnected from our heart, you know, when we're in protection or fear, everything closes down. Yeah, it constricts and closes. Yeah, the chakra kind of flower is like a sunflower on a cloudy day. It kind of turns away, petals turn in. Yeah, protection, crust might come over, right? Our field gets disorganized, incoherent, and we can't really hold these levels of higher consciousness or levels of crystalline consciousness, okay? Crystalline consciousness is very structured. It's very ordered. It holds natural law, universal principles, yeah? Eternal order of life. Yeah, there's a beautiful coherency to all of this. Okay, so when we're in the incoherent, kind of fallen over, collapsed state, you know, we're not going to have an experience of crystalline consciousness. Okay, all right. So let's take a little pause here. Let's keep tuning into your heart level here. Yeah. So again, we got your human incarnate level and your whole physical body and your physical heart. Then we got the soul level and your heart chakra, okay? And we'll just come into resonance. So those levels are pulsing and I got a nice rhythm, nice resonance happening. Right, and I can start to translate into your nervous system, hopefully calm down some of the overwhelm, ground out some negatively charged energy, yeah. And then we're moving into a level where we get to merge with our higher self, okay? Or our oversoul level of identity, yep. So these are higher dimensions of ourselves, higher dimensions of consciousness. Again, they've been kind of blocked, closed. Sometimes we have access, sometimes we don't. It's been a bit of a hit and miss, right? So again, we're generating this field, you know, in ourselves, with other people who are on this awakening wave, yeah? Awakening to the greater connectivity and interconnectivity of life on this planet, in this galaxy, and far beyond, okay? Yeah, so coming into a higher level of consciousness, the oversoul or the higher self, yeah. And we're popping up into another level of our subtle anatomy, okay? And there's like another crystal that lives in this like subtle dimension. You could call it the high heart. You could call it the sacred heart, okay? You can think of this also as like a crystal, yeah? In some metaphysics fields, this would be described as the monad, right? It's kind of like that assembly point where there's many different subtle anatomies interfacing with etheric anatomies, interfacing with physical levels, right? So it's kind of like an assembly area where we can breathe in directly to source energy, source intelligence, and source consciousness. And as we breathe back out, we refresh our system. So we're breathing and phasing directly with source consciousness when this whole heart complex is functioning in a balanced and a harmonious way, okay? And then again, this is like we become the vehicle for crystalline consciousness. Awareness opens up in us of how the creating worlds, the creator consciousness, source intelligence, translates through and manifests through into the created worlds of manifest form, yeah? And the structures that we live inside, energetic, etheric, subtle, plasma, vapor, liquid, and physical, right? Solid, okay? Alrighty. So we're kind of diving into some metaphysics here. Let's come back into our human heart experience here. And what's going on? Well, all of this is happening, you know, whether we're aware of it in the way that I'm describing it or not, we're all feeling something, okay? So again, I'm giving you these descriptions just to have some other reference points, you know, for your experience here. So when we're coming into this state of merging your human self with your soul and with your oversoul and your consciousness and your awareness is opening up, wow, you may be feeling a whole bunch of things that you have not felt before or have been stored away, locked in vaults, been frozen, disconnected. Yeah. So there's a lot of feeling of vulnerability, right? They may be feeling very vulnerable, unsettled, uncertain, exposed. A lot of unfelt feelings, unacknowledged hurts that can start to come out. So you may experience this as emotional waves or emotional volatility moving through. I've spoken about this in previous videos here. So this is all part of this like clearing and opening of the multi-dimensional heart, okay? And so important here to really slow down as much as you can. You know, crystalline time is very slow. It's so slow, it may feel like nothing is happening when we're in the realms of crystalline time. Yeah, because we're so used to such a very fast, very sped up life, you know? Yeah. Pausing. Slowing down, all right? Wow. All the things that we're feeling right now. Yeah, you might need to take some more time out just for rest. That doesn't mean you have to be horizontal sleeping all the time, but just some quiet time, some peaceful time, just to be present with all the things that you're feeling right now. You know, when I was tuning in the other day to what I was feeling, my internal guidance gave me the word the beleaguered human heart, the besieged human heart. You know, here is our very sensitive human heart, capable of incredible depth of feeling, empathy, and compassion, that's been bombarded by atrocities, brutality, violence, disconnection, and harm. Yeah. Oh, constantly beleaguered, besieged, attacked. It feels like from all sides. So guess what? Our hearts had to be very barricaded, very protected. Yeah. To protect this spark of consciousness inside of us, this beautiful soul spark inside of us. Yeah. And as we had that protection there, that was like it formed like a crust around us. Yeah. And there was also, and I'll talk about this more in other videos, like a crust around that crystal in our tailbone, right? So that intercepted and interfered with and inhibited our connection to the crystalline consciousness levels, to the earth, to all the other created forms. We lived in this form of disconnection and separation, right? From others, from ourselves, from our soul, and from the greater spirit, okay? So we got this crust. You know, I talked a lot about this in other videos as the black goo. Yeah, like this hardened, darkened, crusty thing that has sort of distorted levels of consciousness. So this pure, crystalline, original instructions didn't really translate through that very well, okay? So we've got a lot of distortions in the world, a lot of harm that's happened. You know, one way of understanding this in the bigger picture of things here, right? So let's just come back here into, you know, our human experience of all of this that's happening right now. It may feel, again, volatile, maybe irritable, a lot of irritability in terms of our human relations, which feel, you know, I think the fabric of our human relational field is quite frayed. It's coming apart. It's worn thin, like the old ways that we would relate to each other in very codependent, manipulative, controlling, or power game kind of ways, right? Like it's, you know, And so there's a lot of irritability when we may encounter that in ourselves, or we're encountering it with others. We got this crystalline consciousness coming online and gaining in amplitude more and more every single day. And it's kind of, it's like making that old crust, you know, or kind of feeling those crusty bits where it's, you know, you have a scab and you got that crusty bit and it's just irritable and you just want to pick it off kind of, but it's, you know, your skin isn't quite healed underneath it, kind of like those kind of feelings, right? Just like friction, where you're kind of rubbing the wrong way with people in your life right now, you know, again, on that relational field, like we're all feeling this, you know, those crusty bits around our heart that are getting loosened. Yeah, falling off. Yeah, more vulnerability, more honesty, more authenticity. It's kind of what we all want, but it's always kind of shocking as well. We may not feel like we've like grown or developed those capacities within us to relate in more authentic ways with ourself, you know, with our human, with our soul, with our oversoul, with the greater spirit, you know, with other people, right? Okay. So a lot going on here. So again, just take one of these longer pauses here as we all tune in together, whether you're listening to this at any point in the future or right now, wherever you are, tuning in here together, this beautiful field of the heart, our multidimensional heart, our sacred heart, whatever words are going to work for you here. Yeah. Taking a few slower breaths. Allowing all these levels of our heart to decompress. You know, we're moving into crystalline time. It's very spacious, okay? Very much slower than clock time, yeah? Old matrix time, okay? Which was very, very compressed. And I've talked about this a lot in other videos. So we're decompressing, yeah? We decompress, opens up more space. Wow, guess what? That allows crystalline consciousness to start to flow through our hearts. Just keep our focus here, yeah? It can flow up through our tailbone. It can flow through our whole body, yeah? And let's keep the focus with the heart here, because that's where our greatest power truly is, okay? Yeah. And so to perhaps commit to yourself to pause, to take time, to take moments to yourself for some quiet. You may feel like you want to just retreat, even if it's just into a room where you can just close the door for a few moments to take a few breaths and then come back out and engage with life, with family members, with work colleagues, wherever you are in your world right now. Okay, yeah, and staying attuned to all these levels of things going on. You can call upon those higher levels of consciousness that are coming more online and are more accessible to you to respond in different ways, to be less reactive, right? To be more response able, yeah. If you're feeling vulnerable, to take care, yeah. To practice self-love. That may be stepping away from very volatile, reactive situations or relationships right now. Yeah, well, that's happening on a lot of levels for a lot of people. You know, I was talking to one friend where it's like almost every member in her family was going through a divorce at the same time, trying to get together for Thanksgiving weekend. Here in Canada, not happening. Everyone's like, whoa, too afraid, right? So just be kind, yeah? We can't kind of keep trying to do things the old way. Keep trying to put things back together, tape things back together when they're all falling apart. Just kind of let them fall open. Because why? There's new life coming through, new energies coming through, higher dimensions of consciousness, crystalline consciousness coming through. When we allow it to come through, it has new instructions, new codes, new blueprints, new energies to help us adapt through this transitional time. So remembering too, as this is all awakening, we're waking up to our function and purpose as humanity, as a species here, as a bridge, between spirit and matter. We have this gift of awareness, as humans. And when we bring that awareness into our heart, right, our care, just being kind, caring, nurturing, feeling empathy and compassion, just doing good human things, It doesn't have to be spiritual gymnastics or very complicated processes, just be a good human. And then this naturally starts to open up through us, okay? These higher levels of consciousness. So this awakening and igniting of the heart and the crystalline consciousness and all the things going on, we can stay present, aware, using our gift of awareness. We might not have to do as much. Okay. So again, just allowing yourself to pause, go slower, take some time or some moments out to retreat a little bit out of the fray of life, to feel what's arriving into you. It may feel like a deep homecoming or a reunion when we start to merge back into our wholeness of our souls and our oversouls, which connects us with the greater vitality and radiant force of life. Thank you very much for listening, for subscribing, for sharing. I'll be back with more videos on more things about crystalline consciousness, both here over on my Patreon page. I'm still sharing up beautiful photos of this gloriousness of the skies and the light and light codes over on my Telegram channel. And I still do work one-on-one with people as well. So details and links are all below. And thank you again. I'll be back soon. Bye for now.